have the last speaker, and I would like to invite once again Mr. Atul Jalan, the founder, CEO, and managing director, Manthan. He's going to talk the transformation of media in the digital era. Please put your hands together for the gentleman over here. The stage is all yours.
What is the score? Anybody? What's the score? Ah, now keep the phone down. Okay. I'm Atul Jalan. I happen to be founder CEO of an artificial intelligence company called Manthan. I've also recently come out with a book called Where Will Man Take Us, which incidentally has become a bestseller both on online platforms and on brick and mortar platform. The subject that I want to deal with today is the subject that I deal with in my book as well, and which is, if you look down the history, you would see two distinct threads, two distinct human capabilities, and their consequences running together. One distinct capability that we have is our ability to invent stories. And the other one is our ability to invent technologies. We invent both, right? We invent stories and we invent technologies. And both of them go on to reinvent our ways of life. Opposable thumb, fire, wheel, steam engine, electricity, telephone, Google, all have been our inventions, right? Can you imagine life without them? Really, I will not go into how do we bring our stories into reality. Think about all the imagination that mythologies would have conjured. Think about all the fantastic imaginations of science fiction, at least the good ones. They are the science reality today. Those are realities we carry in our pocket by way of smartphone, right? Okay. My submission is, and that's what I cover in the book, and that's what I intend to speak about in context of what's the future of media. I think we stand on the cusp of a major reinvention, a major rehaul. Much like all the other reinvention of ours, this time too, our invention is brought to us by our technologies, by technologies of artificial intelligence, nanotechnologies, quantum computing, biotech, and genetic engineering. This time the change is profounder, if you will, than any that we have witnessed in the past, because our technologies are merging with our biology. So far, all our technological achievements extended or expanded our extrinsic reach. Think about car, right? A plane, a crane, a train. It expands your muscular or an extrinsic reach. Now our technologies are merging with our biology. With genetic engineering, I'm sure most of you would have caught at some level the kind of work that is happening there. The evolution itself of humankind would not be led by nature, would be artificially engineered by us, which in true sense makes us our own God. Very soon we'll be able to overcome pain, disease, old age, and death. It's not a surprise that within 40 years, the average lifespan of people have moved from 48 to 93. Even in developing countries, emerging economies with, not so good health care and nutritional, it is 78. A child being born today, chances are he would be or she would be living up to 125 to 130 years of age. Not to digress, I think in wake of becoming whatever, all our social institutions, whether it's our idea of freedom, of democracy, look at a technology like social media. To my mind, and I'm sure you would concur with me, to my mind there's a civil war in UK, there's a civil war in US, just caused by social media. All our institutions, whether it's freedom, is democracy, is sexuality, is marital relationship, it is money in terms of cryptocurrency, the whole code of ethics and morality is getting appended. Okay. Coming back to today's session, look at, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to run a presentation as well. Anyway, look at media. I think that's what I wanted to speak about, the current state and the future. Look at the media and the irony. We live in an age, can I get the, I'm sorry, I just, the point I was trying to make is the change is around us, you know. The earth hurtles around the space as 1,600 kilometers per hour. Do we feel the change? Do we feel that movement? We don't because we are part of it. I think the change is around us. We don't feel it because we are part of it. You know, with change, change is progress, disruption is progress, disruption is also chaos. Okay, with Gutenberg's printing press, the whole age of enlightenment got triggered, but it also triggered 200 years of European war. When the democracy, republic replaced the French monarchy, of course it triggered into the value of mass-based, people-based democratic movements, but also it resulted in whatever massacre and thing around French Revolution. So disruption to my mind is equal to progress. Disruption is also chaotic. Disruption is also destruction. The thing that I wanted to focus today is the irony of our time. At a time when more content is created, more content is consumed than arguably at any other time in human history, is when media companies or content creators and authors are going out of business. Isn't that an irony? Most, all traditional medias, even look at US, Wall Street Journal, this media house that broke the Watergate story, the famed, fabled, iconic Wall Street Journal has to be saved by Jeff Bezos. Okay, you can look at any media company, and this can be told very certainly that all traditional media companies are struggling. And to me, today's story, the irony is not about, and why they are struggling in an age where more content is consumed, because 70 to 80%, I've been given to understand marketing professionals, most of you, 70 to 80% of all 70 to 80% of all ad revenue, who gets it? Facebook and Google. Yeah, they don't invest a cent, they don't invest a rupee, they're not invested in content creation. Yet 70 to 80% of all ad revenue goes to Facebook and Google of the world. Now this not only, the thing that I want to talk about is not only that unequal distribution of reward. It's not only this, somebody is getting richer and somebody is going out of business. Media, and you would agree with me, the whole premise of traditional media is based on truth. The whole, at least on paper, they are modeled for truth. The whole premise of social media platform and search engines are premised on engagement. They're not modeled for truth, they are modeled for engagement. What is the model? Model is very simple. You spend more time on my platform, whether a search engine or a social media platform, I, over a period of time, gather more and more data on you and about you. And I weaponize this, or I monetize this understanding of you by selling your information to an advertiser. And why are you on that platform? 57% of people went to Google search engine looking for some content. So that is the unequal. And the second thing, again, as I said, to me it is not only monetization, that's an unequal reward. Traditional media, as it were, is the fourth state, as it were, right? Okay, it is also sustaining the civil society. Okay, as I said, it's truth versus engagement. It has to be the sustenance of traditional media is also sustenance of our civil society. Three things I wanted to again add, other than monetization, what are the problems with the current architecture? One is that one is truth versus engagement. The other is collective intelligence versus intelligence. Let me give you an example. Britannia Encyclopedia, last version 2007, there are some 4,221 entries, and 90, and all, I mean, and the entries are from Einstein to Marie Curie to Carl Sagan. Not more than one article or one piece by Einstein or a Carl Sagan or the likes. Contrast that with Wikipedia. There are 37 million registered users, and there are that many million unregistered users. Now, you could argue that Wikipedia makes the information easier access, freer access, and so on. But if you put that in context, that we already live at a time when there is a fake news, when there is alternate truth, when there is a post Facebook truth, when, I mean, if you guys are into AI and in era of deep fake, I don't think Wikipedia becomes, Wikipedia adds to that confusion, adds to that many versions of lies or truth, okay, as opposed to a well-curated traditional media content which goes through certain rigor. My other fear about the current architecture is, yeah, Google and Facebook and the likes, whether it is search engine, whether it is any kind of tech platform, looks like a horizontal movement, looks like a grounds up movement, looks like a movement whose heart is in the right place. But think about other such movements in history. They all started at horizontal people movement, okay? But very quickly got resulted into or degenerated into vertical hierarchies. I can think of Stalin, I can think of Mao, I can think of so many, okay? Power corrupts and absolute power. Not yet, but who knows? I'm sorry. No. So, yeah, so I'm saying that's what history has taught us, and that there's a complete abdication of power into these hands. What I wanted to put out here is, and this is something that as a thought experiment, I have tried to articulate in my book as well, is that I think I demand a more equitable world. And for a capitalist like me to say this, but still, I think I demand a socialist world. I think in an era where, as I said, technology upends everything. Technology is the best and the only and the biggest and the most effective game changer. I think the architecture of how civil society could be sustained, how tech giants, these platforms and social media can be rewarded for what they bring to our lives. And I would also argue, why would the reader, the consumer of this news, this content should not be rewarded as well? Okay, so first, before I get into what I thought should be done, I just want to quickly take time on what is being currently experimented with. Some of you might be aware. I would not dwell into each of them, but one idea which has been experimented with is paywall. Are you guys aware of paywall? Which is basically, if today you can go to timesofindia.com or whatever, bbc.com or ndtv.com or whatever news that you want to get from. But let's say people like financialtimes.com, they have for last 3 years put up a paywall. That is, if you want to read more than 3 articles per week, you need to subscribe to them. Okay. I don't think that's going to work. Even in India, you would very soon see Economic Times is coming with a paywall model. So because they need sustenance. Advertisement revenue, as we just said, is going to Googles and Facebooks of the world. So how do you sustain your business operations? So people are thinking about lot many ways to monetize or at least get something back for their investment. I don't think paywall will work. Paywall will not work because the ordinary reader is a desultory reader, right? He's a casual reader. He's not an academician. And in a world where so much of content is there, I don't think he's paying for anything. Second thing, to my mind, paywall will not work is because internet has spoiled us. Look what kind of goodies we get. Our search engine is free. Our Google map is free. Whole social media goodies are free. I think Amazon wouldn't be a success that it is. Amazon wouldn't be a $1 trillion market cap company if they almost didn't sell you stuff without profit. So what I'm saying is, as users, as consumers, we are spoiled. I don't think paywall will work. Maybe in some niches, I subscribe to, I have a passing interest in space program. I may subscribe to some publication and would be happy to pay money for it for getting some well-curated content. But in general, to get general news, I don't think I'm subscribing to a paywall. There are other models, as I said, I won't delve into each one of them. Then Rupert Murdoch, not too long back, he was being accused of monopolizing the media business. He was being accused of a potential horizontal movement becoming a vertical hierarchy. Look at the changing sign of changing time. He has mooted an idea. He wants US to break Alphabet or Google's parent company into search engine and rest everything else, because Google gets so much of power through their search engine and absolute unreal power through their search engine. I mean, I understand that this thought has been mooted as maybe as a way of frustration. Don't know what to do, but in 21st century, second decade, really that's the best you can do is to break a company. I think you got to do better, right? And I personally feel that I told you to start with, we are not the strongest animal in the animal kingdom, right? I keep saying this, if on a scale of 5 on a food chain, we are somewhere between anchovies and pigs, right? Yet we lord the universe basis of what? Basis of our facilities of inventing, of ability to invent technologies and invent stories. And there's a third ability that we have that most of the other organisms in our natural world don't have, which is our ability to collaborate. Collaborate in large numbers. Nobody else can collaborate the way we can on such scale as we can. And I think the way forward is to leverage, we already have technology, we have the story, I think is to leverage our third most important strength, and that is of collaboration. I think the way forward is a codependence model. And the codependence model works, to my mind, simply like this. As I said, in version 1.0 of internet and social media, if you look at the whole architecture, it is somebody creates content, let's say a traditional media house. It is consumed on a platform like a Google search engine or a Facebook social media platform. So by a consumer. So there are three entities. There's a producer, there is a middleman, and then there is a consumer. Okay? And as I said, the whole lack of equilibrium is that only the middleman is profiting here. Middleman, producer doesn't get anything. The consumer also willy-nilly has made a Faustian bargain. The consumer also doesn't realize that for all these goodies, they share very valuable information on their personal lives with these platforms. I think the moving forward model is that when the middleman, the platforms, okay, pay to the producer, whether it is media houses or whether it is people like you and me, individual contributors. What is the lifeline of WhatsApp and many such platforms? I would think it is the user-generated content, right? Some event happens, some match happens, somebody will come. There's so much of creativity happening there. Some would come out with meme and joke and so on. I would think whatever kind of original content creation, authorship, okay, should be rewarded, and there are ways to do it. I come from a technology business, I run a technology company. Take my word for it that there are easy ways to do it, where if you create a joke just because India won the match, lost the match, or something happened in today's match, and that gets, let's say, viral or gets whatever, and gets consumed on WhatsApp and Instagram and Facebook or whatever, and that creates certain engagement for the middleman. In this case could be Facebook or Google, okay, that creates money for them, okay, that you should get some share of that money. I would also go on to say that even consumer, okay, should get some share of that money, because their data is being, as I said, weaponized, sold for something. So I don't know how much to go. I don't even know if what I speak is of any interest to this group, but I definitely feel very strongly and passionately about it. And I don't think marketing also, as we understand, in this lack of equilibrium world will work. And I'm definitely trying to put up a lobby, a think tank group, both here and in US, to push forward for what I think is a model that looks elegant, that looks equitable, that does something good for everyone, the producer, the middleman has a role, and the consumer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, it was so good to see a speaker actually going in the audience and interacting with them. Thank you for that.
No, I had a need because I was worried that people will fall to sleep, so I just wanted to make sure that.
I cannot see any sleepy heads,
No,
so
no, no.
I'm so glad to see that. Well, thank you so much once
Thank
again, and I
you.
would like
Thank
to
you.
invite Sanjeev Agrawal from Agrawal Group to please come and present the token of gratitude to Mr. Atul over here. Backbenchers, let's hear it once again.